Good morning, everybody. All right. More economic data out there. The market pretty much yawning at it. Inflation, according to the government numbers, is getting better. Right. Was pretty terrible. I don't know. Government gone to the grocery store lately? Well, I guess the price of gas came down a little bit. Anyways, so there was this rejection yesterday. Was the bond auction, whatever. Or was that the day before? I lose track. Anyway, we've been waiting for this thing to give it up a little bit, and we'll get to the Dow. But for me, it looks like one stock is driving it higher toward its resistance area, which it wasn't at yet. But one of the things that happened yesterday, and it doesn't happen too often, and all you gotta do is set an alert. No one needs to watch it, but these put call ratios, these rarely go down this low during the trading day. And they typically don't close this low. And so right at the open, this is the equity put call ratio, went down here close to 0.5, and this is the total one. I've seen this rarely. It's gone down close to 0.5, but it doesn't happen too often. Anyway, they both spiked down as the markets popped higher. And then they stayed, during whatever happened, stayed relatively flat and low. So earlier in the week, we looked at the moving average, which was here. And you see how this popped up yesterday. This is the equity put call ratio. We'll see where this goes today, but more warning signs. And, we always say, look, these internals give us a heads up. They don't tell us what day prices will correct. And so far, the correction's been sideways, bullish. Just looking at the NASDAQ futures here, and I don't know if it'll line up with this. Well, you could see when this spiked, the equity spiked toward there. That was the beginning, and so that's where the jiggles began, and of course the holiday, and then yesterday there was the rejection and the enthusiasm, irrational exuberance, as Greenspan said many years ago, seems to have reached a pinnacle, at least in the short term. Uh, Up at resistance. It makes sense. Momentum slowing. No real damage done yet. So what we want to, see any kind of confirmation is, does it break and of course close below this consolidation that's been happening for a little over a week. We've got the signs that it should happen, but one of the things to, I mention once in a while, but to think about is, we look at these candlesticks because they give us a representation of what happened within that time period. And then we see these rejections. But if you look at this on a closing basis, there's no doubt that there's a void below. But day to day, it's not doing a damn thing. So, there's a line chart not doing anything up at resistance. Our expectation is based on the internals and now we look at these candles, is that it's going to break this low and come down, maybe down here, give or take. And I suspect buyers will step up again, and we'll look at that at the time. But right now, we can't get too aggressive on the short side. But as we see stocks starting to get rejected, and if there are wide range rejection bars, range expansion bars, we start with bearish call spreads in a relatively, short term, time to expiration. And that should work out quite well. All right. Just to look at something here quick. Second. One of the other things to um, just as far as a sentiment type of piece of information. We'll get to the SPX, but remember that the strike was over 4,600. So the enthusiasm, pre-market that it would go higher, and it did initially. That it would they'd be these option traders would profit by it getting above 4,600 and probably, ideally keep going. That didn't happen. So we'll see. Right now, things are selling off a little bit here. You can see the NASDAQ futures are dropping. Look at the S&Ps, same rejection, but on a closing basis, nothing. It's just back and forth. Um, you know, it's just dead kind of a market. Maybe a little liquidity, a little interest, an expectation that prices are going to break out higher. Maybe they do, because the rejection has not resulted in a breakdown yet. Again, pointing out, if you I don't have to show you the line chart, but if you can visualize that, it's just going sideways now for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, what have you. And it hasn't violated the bottom of the wide range bar right there. It's in the upper half. So far, buyers are still in control. And we'll see if it breaks some support while we wait. Spiders coming down a little bit. They were higher, and a little bit more of a visual rejection there because it gapped higher and it started to push up toward that 460 and it got rejected. But will it break these lows? And I've got my alert down here below these pivot lows, and we shall wait. And you can see it's gapped up. It's still positive a little bit at the upper part of that red bar. You can see the resistance there, the beginnings of a little tiny topping tail on the weekly time frame. We wait to see if we have some follow through today. SPX, got to adjust the numbers. And today is 45.20. 45.20. So every little movement gets these things moving. This I can eliminate. And the upper part, still 45.90. It's come down 90, which is up at yesterday's high. And I suspect either one of these would work today. Just be aware that at 9:45 Chicago PMI, so far the numbers have been irrelevant this morning, and then 10 o'clock pending home sales month to month and year over year, and at 10:30 there's natural gas, and then there's another auction at 11:30 or so. So yeah, keep it in mind. And so far the markets have just been chopping sideways, and that may continue today. And right, interest rates moving here up a little bit, coming down into the support level that we've been focused on for the turn. And why are we focused on the turn? Same as we would look at any other instrument in multiple time frames. The weekly is in an uptrend. It's coming down to support. It's where our expectations based on the uptrend of a higher time frame would begin to stabilize and possibly go up. And with all these economic numbers saying inflation is subsiding, this shouldn't go up very much unless some new information comes out. Now, if this comes down here, and we'll see in the coming weeks and maybe into next year, I suspect, if it comes down here and starts jiggling around and then starts moving lower, you're going to start hearing more and more talk about the recession, which more and more people are starting to say, yes, that's coming. Some say, no, soft landing, yada, 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 yada. Anyway, we'll see what happens here with interest rates as they come down to this level. Let's take a peek at the 5-year for a moment. It's up 200 MA over just below. Maybe it's heading down there. 13-week, just doing nothing here. So that's good. I think the expectation is the Fed is done, which we talked about way back here as it started to roll over. Bitcoin, not doing anything, just dead in the water. Transports yesterday. So a little bit of crack in the armor. While it's at this resistance area, it really hasn't violated any support yet. But this is weakened ahead of, other things. It was the weaker, but it had a nice rally. And we'll see if this starts to move lower toward, there's an unfilled gap down here. So you should mark that off. So far, it's just going sideways like a lot of other things. The Dow, right, is moving up toward this high, a little bit of rejection here. And as I looked at all the stocks in the Dow this morning as they were moving, 1 second, please. CRM was moving things. Everything else, maybe it was up a little bit, but they weren't taking out yesterday's high. The Intel's up there, backing up a little. Russell flat got rejected as well, just going sideways. And so not much of anything really going on this morning other than jiggles. The dollar, nothing here. So we'll see what happens in the first half hour. Right now things are just whipping around as they typically do. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, not many alarms going off here. Earnings as always. And down risk, inflation. Yeah, also Jamie Dimon was, I guess, last night at the book meeting, said that the markets are on a sugar high. We know that. But actually I thought the sugar high was kind of winding down. So let's see, Verizon up alarm, we're in trail mode, BY. Greg, I did move the screen, so that's a problem again. And I'll stop share and try to log it again. Greg, are you there? It's not switching. Greg, are you there? He must have walked away. There's nothing I can do. Hold on a second, I gotta call him.
What's the matter, Dan? I see your screen.
I don't. Okay,
Does
now
everyone else see Dan's
no,
screen?
finally it changed. So some days some people can see it and some people can't. But yeah, I finally saw it switch. All right, so buy-in, we shorted a put spread, bottoming pattern yesterday. Alarm went up, off, so that's looking good. Let's go to earnings. Roger VFS. Wow, been fast. Man, that thing. I remember. Oh, I remember we were talking about selling call spreads up here in Roger. My memory's great. You sold the $30 puts. Well, yeah, I mean it wasn't but yeah, I'll watch it. RF. Yeah, kind of, little flag gap breakout. It looks a little similar, but it's at this prior high. So if we were, but I like the weekly 1, 2, 3. But if we were doing an A/B test, Thomas, you see how this was a bull flag gap breakout, but this one is, you know, I think is a bigger target, but similar gap from that. DPZ. This was the one in the weekend letter. We were trying to sell a put spread and never got filled. It's at resistance again. You've been hearing me say for the last week or so about internals. Market doesn't have any oomph left, and so you got to ask yourself, is this the trade you want to get into if there's no oomph, as opposed to a beautiful new igniting type of pattern that might be a catch-up trade. Well, let's look at earnings here. I think Charlie Golf up a lot into earnings. Whenever I see things rally like this into earnings, I just have a bearish bias as a general rule, but it's a bullish 15-minute chart. That is rarely do you see textbook triple bottoms. Double bottoms are more likely, but look at this. 1, 2, 3. So, buyers surely stepped up there at that major support. So nothing to do with that. ABT. Same, Thomas. What's your reward to risk? I guess I don't see it. I'd rather be sidelines. KRE. Yeah, but gap from a sloppy bull flag. At least it's holding up here. It's really, holding it at that. So maybe 30-minute high. That one's better. The weekly is a 1, 2, 3. The monthly, a beautiful. Now see, there's a W bottom. Down, up, retest. That's a textbook W. IVZ. Greg, this was yours from yesterday. My alarm on the other computer just went off. Another kind of bull flag. So let's watch that. It's gapping up from an end of day base. Looks good. I'll put that in the window. DXC. It's just a slow grinder. Same comment. Reward to risk. No market on. All right, cream. Yeah, cream is on fire here. All right. And they're, people who were bullish in the earnings are getting paid. And as Greg said, that's moving down. I saw CAT at $2. So CAT is a put spread idea. Back to earnings. Snow 188. I know one of you said snow up on earnings, but what the heck am I going to do with this? Tell me what you're thinking. I don't know. It's a Climo. It's an exhaustion gap on the daily, far from the 20. Look, 188. I can't even see on my chart here. That's only 182. Gapping up $6 beyond my horizontal line. Well, don't say nothing, Rocco. What I meant was tell me what you're thinking and on what time frame, because 30-minute low could very well be a 1 DTE call spread as an exhaustion gap. So I didn't mean to be mean if I was. It also could set up, if this goes tight, the bears are on the ropes. It possibly could give you a day trade long. I personally don't like trading massive gaps in the direction of gap. I know Greg doesn't mind them, but I think I'm accurate, and Greg and I both agreeing that if we were to trade a day trade on a massive gap, we prefer it after 3 o'clock, because then we have a lot more data intraday
Well,
for
yeah, Dan, that's
consolidation.
not true.
Okay, well,
Meaning,
I said I thought.
I know, well, I wasn't sure what you say. So this one, I can't see what's to the left, but there's a whole technique method to trading these. So if there was some data over here from the past, the first thing to do is, like I can only see it here, is like you mark that off. Now, if the gap is too big, and you just switched it anyway. If the gap is too big, right? Let's say like this line right here. And this is all covered in the gap course for those that are interested, right?
That's
So
where
this line right here, right, which lines up with this. This one you're looking for a gap fill. However, if there was something in between here from the past, you look for that to be your potential turning point. So we do the same thing is to, from an intraday trading point of view, we wait for it to come down to that support. Let's assume there was some pivot up here, and then you get a supporting pattern, right? You create a bias, then you get a pattern. If there's nothing there, then you got to wait for a little retest, or maybe a lower low, bottoming tail bar, and that's how you trade it. And you can do that from a 2-minute chart or a 5-minute chart.
okay. Let's notice our alpha gap. Little print up there. We have a put spread. Um, um, Alex, what are you thinking? I would call that a very sloppy W or retest. I don't see any gap here. Ideally, I would like a 1, 2, 3 better. Continuing on earnings here, postage. Wow, I was considering the 32 puts yesterday, but they're glad I didn't do any earnings trades yesterday, but that's a nasty gap. Wow. Visco I had on my core long list. Well, I take that back. Not a core, but beautiful inverse head and shoulder weekly, like target around $28. Still has room, but the earnings kept us out of it. But otherwise, that would have been our entry on the igniting breakout. Curto, see another one rallying like this into earnings. I just have a bearish bias as a general rule. I see one print down here at 18. So if it is there, I would call spread candidate. Netflix, it's just minor counter trend. There's no significant turn, no shock, no topping tail, no gap reversal. But if the whole market comes in, things should follow, profit taken, etc. Pre-market fangs, I see Amazon accelerating the most here. And see, this one's a little more of a turn because of this breakout failure, red bar. So starting way back here, it's a more significant turn. So this is a call spread candidate for us. Let's see if there's a 1 DTE for tomorrow would be ideal. NTNX, that's bullish, daily, weekly, monthly, but no entry. Short-term exhaustion gap. 5, this is one of those retailers. Gap in yesterday's high, 30-minute high, put spread maybe. Zuo here, potential bottoming pattern, gapping up to 930. Gap's too big, so I'm not going to even watch it. PVH, there's a Climo into earnings, a gap down. That's a call spread idea. So for you option traders, if you can help me watch some of these. So that, so step 1 is, yeah, I got a candidate. Step 2 is put it in a 5-minute window and let's see what happens in the first 30 minutes. Nixno, I don't see any volume, but it's showing it gapping down. Synops, 5, wow, that's a big gap. 18. Well, I take that back. It's not gapping at 570. It did, but now slap back down here to minor support. Lazy Boy, no volume, but it shows it up a little bit. Why? And that's a head and shoulders top here. Short term, you got, look at that. Breakout failures, your head. Green bar ignored was your entry. And, that still looks lower. Why? So that's Chinese. RY, Royal Bank of Canada, could be a gap and go. Charlie Mike, same, but I'm not chasing. Tango Delta is just a little range bound, nothing to do. Kroger, mess. That's a gap breakdown. All time frames look lower, but it's down a lot. Fro, gapping in the middle of no man's land, no interest. ASO getting whacked. Buyer stepping up here. No pattern though. Purple. Possible put spread if it stabilizes here. It's right on minor support in the 50. Mr. Big, I was watching here. I have in the middle chart. I was watching Mr. Big as a bottoming pattern here. Weekly bottoming pattern, monthly, retest. We'll come back to it. REE to extended. Wow, look at the volume jumps out at me. Look at this is a great volume example. Here you had some igniting volume on the breakdown. Here was some volume saying, I'm not going any lower. Here's some volume short-term exhaustion far from the 20. Wow, that say volume is secondary, but that really jumps out at you. All right, EMR. I had an alarm. I had an up alarm go off. This is one where actually short, but it will not crack. Where's our 80? Our stop is 89.15. So we're still in it. But it's being stubborn. Tesla low alarm. We have a put spread. And yeah, Elon Musk is making all the news at the thing last night. Telling subscribers to go F themselves. Baba, we're long puts, low alarm, very nice. We can move stop above this pre-market high now, about 75.12. 75.12. Now these puts expire tomorrow, so we'll probably just close out tomorrow in trail mode. But that's been a nice trade all week. Look at that. We're up, 130% or so on those puts. I had Alex. I am glad you reminded me. I had that on my long watch list still. Amba was what looked like a breakout candidate. All right, look at Mr. Big is ripping too much now. Shoot. AD line is bearish. VIX neutral. Tick positive at least. So, you know, I see mixed signals. Diamonds obviously the best, gapping over yesterday's high, courtesy of cream. All right, that PBH. Wow, I had this as a call spread watch, provided it was weak. And see, it's not weak anymore. So no interest. Baba doing good. Let's set new alarm at 74. Alrighty. All right, IVZ got slapped back down, so let's just set a new alarm. $14.40, same alarm, just gonna reset it. Michael Jackson at the low. This thing is just pathetic. Amazon. Wow, it sure has. Wow. Wow. I wonder what that dip was. All right, let's see what else I got here. KBWB was a bull flag rectangle. This would be okay. Well, I'm not sure about the target again. It's right at this gap fill, but that would be a nice 1, 2, 3 if it triggered. Kerbal. Oh man. Yeah, I was watching to see if it would stabilize here. Click and click, click, click. And close. Why are you closing that, Sam? Just okay. Oh, I thought you were in it and you're selling it. All right. All right, Q Dell. I had say that this is what I am concerned of, you all. When we have bullish continuation patterns with a void below and the market internals the way they are, this is exhibit A of what I'm afraid of.
Because we see it happen every time the internals get like that.
Well, right. So we're doing our job of sharing our experience. Exactly. Exactly right.
We said accidents start happening.
Mm-hmm. Costco, I had as a call spread. They announced their same store sales last night. Let's see. That 600 call spread for tomorrow. 20 cents naked. Nope. Power. I